I am the Knight. I am Batman!
Hey guys, welcome to a Batman the Animated Series retrospective, where we're taking a look at how the animated show still stands out among the best adaptations of both Batman and his world more than 20 years after it ended. Starting out with Batman the Animated Series and going into its follow-up shows The New Batman Adventures, Batman Beyond, and feature-length films like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a number of video games, and of course the rest of the DC animated universe, there is no shortage of great BTS-related content, all of which undeniably adds up to a near-perfect on-screen interpretation of The Dark Knight. And although there's no doubt that most of the show's tech is a little dated now, and there were some questionably adult moments for a kids show,
don't you want to rev up your Harley? Vroom, vroom.
something about the show is just timeless, and is still held as the definitive version for many Batman fans. In fact, it's perhaps the pinnacle of superhero shows, with few other non-DC animated universe series even coming close, except for a few obvious examples. Interestingly enough, X-Men the Animated Series began just over a month after BTAS, proving that 1992 may have been the best year ever for superhero cartoons. Coming off the success of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, Warner Brothers and DC were keen to capitalise on as much on-screen Batman as possible, which is something they've hardly slowed down on ever since. And so 3 years after 1989's Batman, the same year audiences saw Tim Burton's live-action sequel, Batman Returns, Batman the Animated Series debuted. BTAS was a wholly new type of superhero cartoon right from the start, one that had a dark and mature overtone which explored deep and meaningful subject matters, whilst also making sure it was still enjoyable enough for younger viewers, with plenty of action, gadgets, car chases, and comedy. Only adding to everything the show was doing in terms of story and characterization, which was being pioneered by writers such as Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, along with a host of talented writers, producers and directors, was its visual style, which was continued throughout the entire DC animated universe. Creator Bruce Timm showcased his flawless realization of a comic book style blended with a more simplified cartoony aesthetic. This look saw some updates and tweaks here and there, in particular with the launch of the New Batman Adventures, and again for Justice League, but generally speaking became a consistent hallmark of the DCAU's style. On top of some iconic character designs, this version of Batman was wrapped up in a pitch-perfect Art Deco vibe, one that arguably suits Gotham even more than any interpretation before or since. But Batman the Animated Series' strengths far surpass some more mature storylines and great animation. Its interpretation of not only the Dark Knight, but his entire supporting cast, from Robin and Batgirl to Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock, and a massive rogues gallery, was really what took it to another level, regularly giving a number of side characters the spotlight. In fact, the show went on to redefine a number of Bat characters and villains, leading to some ingenious new twists, some of which became the definitively recognisable versions even decades later. Mr. Freeze is the obvious example, with The Heart of Ice being one of the greatest episodes of the entire series, if not any animated TV show, completely rewriting Mr. Freeze's origin story and turning him into a tortured, tragic and most importantly understandable villain. As well as altering a number of pre-existing characters, the show created a fair few of its own, the most famous being Harley Quinn, the Joker's former criminal psychologist and now obsessive girlfriend/accomplice. Harley has gone on to become one of the most popular characters in comic book history and is perhaps the most enduring part of BTAS's legacy.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
The series was also one of the first on-screen adaptations to show Bruce Wayne as an intelligent and respectable businessman, running Wayne Enterprises and out to help Gotham as much by day as he does by night. And all of this stands before even taking into account one of the show's most important features, its sound. The music for Batman the Animated Series was clearly inspired by the Burton films, but also had a distinct identity of its own. It was one of the first cartoons to fully compose its music on an episode-by-episode basis, further ensuring that each episode had a cinematic authenticity that many other shows often lacked. Only adding to the incredible animation, bold storytelling and original score was the cast of live-action, theatre and voice actors in an effort to add a little something extra to the show's dynamic. The show's casting and voice director, Andrea Romano, insisted on much of the cast being together in the recording booth so that they could properly act against each other. This was again something relatively unique to the show and really helped with how genuine and authentic the show felt. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are often cited as the definitive versions of Batman and the Joker respectively, with both actors continuing in those roles ever since the show began. Batman the Animated Series had already struck gold with how Gotham looked, and had pushed it even further by nailing how it should sound. And so, Batman the Animated Series had proven across the board how it could add to Batman as a character and a franchise, time and time again. And when combined with the rest of the DCAU, more than earns its place as what is probably the best on-screen adaptation of The Dark Knight and his entire world. Thanks for watching guys, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the links to our other BTAS and DCAU content in the description below.